There's also a huge drop because you're at a high altitude, and if you slip or anything like that, that's basically falling to your death. And I think this year has really taught me about intentionality and how far that can take you, especially with our time, energy, and decisions. Hey everyone, welcome to the Highest Version Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Philivong, and on this podcast, we talk about falling in love with the process of getting better every day and becoming the highest version of ourselves. 2024 has been a year full of change and a roller coaster of emotions, but I feel like through the struggles I've had this year, there has been a lot of great things that I've learned from. I explored the world, I switched to a new job, I found out more things about myself, and for the first time, took a step away from therapy to see if everything I've learned that I'm able to do on my own. As it has been a roller coaster of emotions, there have been a lot of lessons that I've been able to learn and that I want to share with you. Now, before I dive into those lessons, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for the time that you've used to either listen to podcast episodes, even if it's for 1 minute, consuming my content on all different types of social media platforms. It has been very rewarding for me to see subscriber count and follower count go up, and just to hear how the things that I've been putting out there have been impacting you. As long as I'm able to impact someone in a positive way, maybe show them things that can help with their mental health or their personal development, makes me feel really fulfilled. And again, thank you so much. And I hope that you guys are enjoying this journey and will continue to follow along. And I hope to just continue inspiring you in the way that I can to become the highest version of yourself. So without further ado, let's get into the 7 lessons of 2024. Let's go. The first lesson is to explore the world. Now, this year has been quite a year of travel for me, and this is the most I've ever traveled in my entire life. I started off the year by going to Hawaii and hitting Switzerland, and then Banff National Park up there in Canada, different part of Grand Canyon, Zion National Park, Antelope Canyon. There has been so many places of the world that I've been able to see and have the opportunity to, that has taught me so much about myself. And one of those things is helping with my anxiety with taking off in the airplane and landing. I feel like when I was younger and even before this year, I had so much anxiety with traveling, specifically flying. I feel like I get into my head about certain things, but the amount of reps that I've had when I was traveling really helped ease that anxiety. I'm super grateful that I've had the opportunity to just put myself in exposure therapy, just get those reps and feel a lot better with travel. And I'm really excited to keep doing that, to keep exploring other parts of the world. Other thing I learned from travel was that there's so much to nature that we don't know. There's another aspect of it that I found so beautiful. Now, growing up in a small town in Connecticut, I'm mostly seeing like rural farms, trees. I'm glad to see the greenery. And then when I moved up here to Boston, it is like the Boston city line, but there's not as much nature that you can explore or that I haven't had the opportunity to. But when I was out there seeing different parts of the world, seeing these grand mountains in Switzerland and Banff National Park, and seeing the canyons in the Grand Canyon, and astounding things that you would just see off of windows, like screensavers or Google Photos. Like, it blew my mind. It made me feel a whole lot more appreciation for nature, and I'm so excited to see other parts of the world and the scenery that other countries have to offer. Also, getting back to getting out of my comfort zone with travel, I also have a fear of heights. And going to Zion National Park, there's this hike called Angel's Landing. This hike is one of the most dangerous in the US, and I think in the world, I believe. And it's because there's different parts of the trail where there's not that much room to walk. Yes, you can put you have enough to walk through like a mini path, but there's also a huge drop because you're at a high altitude, and if you slip or anything like that, that's basically falling to your death. And there has been deaths related to that hike. Sometimes the only thing between you and falling to your death is these metal chain ropes. Now, for someone that has a fear of heights, to be able to do that definitely was a wild experience for me. Getting up there first and getting to that section was really scary for me. My knees were going weak. I was trying hard not to look down, and I just wanted to be present to make sure that I was enjoying the hike itself. But to be honest, I was more worried about not falling to my death. So I would love to do Angel's Landing again, just so I can really just take it in. When I got up to the top, it showed me how much that, on the other side of things that we fear, that there is something beautiful. And when I was up there, yes, I was still scared, but I was like, dang, I did it. And I'm proud of myself for getting up there and, taking one step over the other versus just, letting my partner go by herself and not sharing that kind of moment with her. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't agree and push myself forward to do it. So traveling really has gotten me out of my own comfort zone and for the better. Lesson number 2 is to be okay with change. Now, with my career, I switched jobs this year, and I've always had a plan to stay with my initial job for 5 years in total, and then I would reassess and figure out where I wanted to go next. I've had that plan since I was the age of 8. I had to have my whole career planned out. I didn't have to, but I just kind of felt the pressure that I had to figure out these things so that I don't have to put any changes, right? So I don't have to make any changes. And it was a hard time for me to accept that in order for me to be happy in life, this initial plan that I've had for many years, kind of scrap it and move on to something else. We change all the time. There's a lot of things in our life that happen to us that force us to change. And, change is scary. It's very scary to go through change, but it's necessary because you don't know if that change will make you realize that, whatever path you were on initially was the one you actually want to be on, or this new kind of path that's being paved after that change is actually going to be what's best for you, what's going to be happy for you. And, once I accepted, a new position, a new job at a different company, so far it has been great. And, I didn't realize how much work-life balance and, how much it was better for my mental health. And if I was so strict on a path, on that initial path, I don't know where I would be. I don't know where in my brain I would be okay with my mental health. And, I'm actually very happy that I made that change because I was prioritizing something, and one of my biggest values was my mental health. So I'm glad that no matter what change it is, it's going to be okay. And that at the end of the day, everything will work out. Change happens. We have to be adaptable, malleable in life's, way of teaching us to veer us into the right path, and trusting that. And change is scary, but it's also necessary. So yeah, let's be okay with change. Lesson number 3 is to be spontaneous. As someone who plans things and really, again, like I said, goes according to plan, I'm not that spontaneous. I'm not a risk taker. I had a lot of moments where I just said, fuck it, and to live these different experiences of life. I literally flew down to Miami to watch a Boston Celtics game and flew back the next day. A few years ago, wouldn't have done that. Not a shot. I'd be like, oh, it's not, this is disrupting too much of, what I thought I was going to do this week, blah, 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 blah. But it ended up being a really fun time. And same thing with, going to concerts with friends. There would be DJs and musicians that I wouldn't know, but I went and I was like, oh shit, this was actually super, super fun. And it was just being around those friends and opened a whole new genre for me too. Be spontaneous. It's okay to have these things disrupt your plan in life because you never know what kind of experiences it could bring you, maybe valuable memories, good memories, and it just brings a little fun into your life too. Lesson number 4 is to stay connected with creativity. I feel like creativity in general just brings a different aspect to your life. It brings something that kind of makes you feel like a kid again. When we create things like drawings or paintings or choreographies or anything on the creative space, we kind of look at the, whatever we made and grow to be proud of it. And if we weren't creative, I feel like there wouldn't be, no arts, no music, nothing like that. One of the biggest things that, the reason why I even had this as a lesson is being connected to dance. That's my sense of creativity, how I can really maximize that. And this year I've been able to choreograph for some pieces, choreograph some workshops that I've done at my old college. And for me, dance is just something that has been a creative thing that makes me feel alive, that makes me feel nostalgic and makes me feel fulfilled just because it's something that I did when I was younger. I love performing and I love, just putting myself out there and being a new identity that I usually portraying, right? Portraying this cool kind of person on the stage and on concert, but in then real life being, my fun, goofy, weird self, whatever that is. If I didn't have that sense of creativity in my life, I feel like things would be super boring. For me, growing up, I was always a serious person, and dance was my one avenue where I could be goofy and could be live life, let loose a little bit. So having creativity in your life can bring this new profound sense of fun. So give it a try. Paint something, draw, dance, find ways that you can be creative to bring this sense of new fun into your life. Lesson number 5 is to take care of your body. Now, this year, I've been really focused on building the body that I want to. Part of that comes from an insecurity of mine when I was younger. And that's why I feel like I always say to people, and even maybe in some of the content, that I want to get a body like Michael B. Jordan. And it's a funny thing for me to say, but it's also something that heals my inner child, just because of how I felt about my own body and being very insecure about it. I want to prove myself wrong. I also want to heal that inner child that says, hey, like, I want to get there, but it's been hard for me to. So the consistency and discipline, like, I've been super focused on that, and really showing myself that I am capable. I am capable of getting the body that I want. And, it's not for reasons to show off, but it's for my inner child to understand we have achieved something that I have been wanting for so long. Lesson number 6 is to invest those that you want to be around. I think this year has really shown me that the saying of friends come and go is a true thing. This is something that I had a really hard time trying to process and understand during the year. And, it just made me realize that if you truly want to create a friendship, create a relationship with that other individual, you will take the time and energy to invest in them and be part of their journey, and vice versa, right? It was something that was very hard for me to understand at first, just because when I was younger, I relied on my friends heavily when it came to like struggles, feelings, because at home and in my immediate family, it was hard for me to do that. The environment was very hard for me to speak about my life and kind of like what I was feeling at that time. So I relied on my friends heavily, and my friends were my family. To go with that kind of mindset all throughout life and going in this year and understanding that friends do come and go was very, very hard for me. But I came to understand that life just goes on, and that's okay. And people have different priorities, values. People just naturally drift apart. And if you really want to create a bond, a relationship with another individual, you would make that time, make it clear that you want to make that happen. Lesson number 7 is to build the life that you want. I think this year has really taught me about intentionality and how far that can take you, especially with our time, energy, and decisions. If I'm intentional with those 3 things, I can start to build and envision the life that I so forever seek. I have an older brother, and I was supposed to have another older brother. But when hearing this from my mom, she told me that if that older brother was going to survive, then I wouldn't have been born. My parents wouldn't have probably worked for a third child. And I was born prematurely. About 2-3 months, and luckily I don't have any like physical problems, and all that reminds me that life is a blessing. And I mean, there's no reason why I shouldn't take this opportunity to live it fully. So I hope some of those lessons resonate with you guys, and you could take something away from it and put it into 2025. I would love to hear if any of the lessons resonated with you guys. Put your experiences in the comments below. I would love to hear what lessons spoke to you, and hopefully we'll put into 2025. So as always, guys, let's fall in love with the process of getting better every day and becoming the highest version of ourselves. Love y'all.